Welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach, and today I'm presenting yet another little mini episode, and I'm going to be talking about how to manage mom guilt whilst pursuing your dreams. I think as a mom, sometimes we take a lot of things to heart and we take things too hard on ourselves because we have that feeling that whatever we do is not enough. One of the most important things is to remember that, societal expectations are way up there and can be unrealistic, but it's all about how you manage to deal with the pressures, the juggling, because we have so many different aspects to our lives when we're trying to pursue the career side as well as being a mom. One of the things to remember is that you're trying to run a home, feed the child, sort out their school run, sort out, everything to do with their livelihood, basically, because they are depending on you. And also try and sort yourself out and also be available and be you when you're out in your work environment, or even when you're trying to run your business. You want to show up as you, and yet you're dealing with all the different things that I've just mentioned a little while ago. But it doesn't have to be that way, because you've got to understand that you're on a different path, and also you have a different journey. Your day doesn't look the same as somebody else who doesn't have any children, for instance. Your day is different, whether you have one child, two children, or five children like me. But that doesn't make you a bad mother because you're trying to pursue your dreams. It just means that you're trying to find a purpose for yourself, basically. And how I look at it in my own circumstances, for instance, everything that I do, my children look at that and they see me as a role model, rather than thinking, oh my gosh, mom has to do X, Y, and Z. But it's kind of, I do what I do in order to create and have that flexibility and that ability to be around my family and to spend some quality time with them. And by quality time, I mean, if it's time for family, I'm not trying to sort out one email in between here and there and trying to, respond to messages and stuff. It's about availing yourself and creating those time blocks that that this is time for me to work, and this is time for me to focus on being around my family. And it's less stressful because it's helpful for yourself, and it's also good for your family because it helps you to start building. We all talk about boundaries, but it's part of that aspect of trying to build those boundaries and knowing that, this is what I'm going to do. I can't do this until a certain time. Some of the moms that I've spoken to over the past several years really mention the fact that when they do the work that they do, they prioritize working with people that understand that, one, they've got to do a school run. So they will know that they'll never ring them before, say, for instance, 9 or 9:15, because that's the time of the school run. They also know that, they're not contactable between maybe 3:15 and 4 o'clock, because again, that falls into the time of the school run. And it's important to just have those kind of values, I suppose, and be selective when you're setting up or whom you want to work with. If you value that family time, then it's equally as important to ensure that your clients and the people that you work with understand that side of things as well. It can be a little challenging if you're working for somebody else. And I've been there, believe me, where, I miss so many sports days. And I just wasn't able to attend those things because it wasn't really down to me, because it was the rules of the company, and this is what happens, and you can't have the time off as and when you need to have the time off. So if you have that opportunity to set up on your own, and this is what's important for you, then it's important to incorporate it into your values, and have it as part of your strategy and how you work, and also how you choose your clients. One of the other things I would say, apart from setting up the boundaries, is to have very good communication with not just your family, but also with your clients, as I mentioned just then. I think your family won't know if you need any support or any extra help if you don't tell them. Sometimes we're under the assumption that they can see I'm really busy at the moment, so they should know that I need help in X, Y, and Z. But I think it's really important that you communicate effectively and let them know, as moms. And again, it's another thing that I've done before, where you think, I'm a mom and I'm supposed to do absolutely everything, I don't need anybody's help. That's just not going to work. So you do need to communicate, and you do need to ask, because what seems common knowledge or common sense to you is not so common to the rest of your household. And it's equally as important to just make sure that you let them know, and that will help with the relationships as well within the household, because it's easy to get frustrated thinking, oh, I'm not getting the support that I need. But obviously the frustration is coming from the fact that you believe you haven't got the support, but in actual fact, you haven't communicated and let them know where you want help and how you want the support in order to move you from A to B. And one of the last things that I always talk about is self-care. I think it's really, really important, and I can't emphasize this enough, to ensure that you do take time for yourself and you do take time to just recharge your batteries, because it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, well, I just have to keep going and that's going to be the best thing. But you have to be making sure that you do look after yourself, because if you don't feel great and you're trying to give 100%, that's not going to happen. So don't feel bad about having a bit of time off. And I did at some point. I felt bad that, I'm having some time off, or I'm going to do this. I could be doing it with this and that. But that's where all the, time blocking and just setting the boundaries comes into place, where you kind of allocate some time for yourself just as much as you allocate time for your work, for your family, and, whatever activities you want to do. So what I tend to do is, every single thing that I do, pretty much, it's diarized in my diary. I have one diary that I keep, and I put everything in there. So even my youngest, who's 8 now, she'll check and look at my diary. It's like, oh, what are you doing today, Mum? And then everything is there in the schedule. But it's so important, because it helps me to know where I am, what I'm doing. I'm less stressed. But it's also, it just avoids all the mad rushes and forgetting things, especially, being a mum of 5. I've got children in different schools, and different stages of their life. And I've got to remember different inset days. I've got to remember different mufti days, for instance, or whatever activities they may be having at school, and extracurricular activities. So unless I incorporate it into my actual diary, it might overlap with something else or clash with something else. So at least if I have it in the one place, I can do the time blocking and just work on it, on in that way, just to make sure that I make things a little bit easier for myself and I'm not as stressed. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to share with you today. And just saying, you don't have to feel guilty. You need to give yourself that permission to thrive, because you are entitled to it. But it's also just making sure that you have the right strategies in place in order to help you achieve your goals, and also, pursue your career if that's the way you want to go, which is really important, because, at the end of the day, just because you're a mom, it doesn't mean that you can't, pursue your career or your passions, and also have a life, basically. So I leave you with that today. And till next time, have a good day.